From Robots in Disguise 2015, probably my favorite new Autobot was STRONGARM. I just always thought it was cool having like this police-esque female Autobot that had a really cool like blue, white, and yellow design and turned into a truck. That's pretty unusual for an Autobot female. And I always thought STRONGARM was a cool character in the show. Now granted, the original Warrior class toy, keep in mind Warrior class, not Deluxe class, left a lot to be desired. The toy itself wasn't bad, but a lot of the problem came with the deco. If I wanted to spend like $30, $40 on a Japanese import that had good paint, I could have, but the toy itself just wasn't even good enough in the first place to justify spending that much. And it was always disappointing to me how I really liked STRONGARM and her design, and the old toy just didn't really deliver too much in it. But now we have the Legacy Evolution STRONGARM, and I can say that she is actually a really, really cool figure. I actually think it's really nicely done. I think the Legacy Evolution STRONGARM took the Elita 1 mold and perfectly retooled it into STRONGARM. I think it's just so nicely done for the character. It has a lot of great paint. It could use a little bit more paint, but it's still a lot of great paint. Like, the head sculpt is gorgeous. I adore it. It's one of my favorite Transformers head sculpts in recent years. The figure itself's really fun. I actually think it's probably better than Elita 1. I just really like it. As a STRONGARM fan, this Legacy one is the STRONGARM I've been wanting for all these years. So let's just get into it. So as we can see, they're pretty similar in size, which is nice. The original Warrior class figures are around $15, you know, pretty standard pricing for something like that at the time. And nowadays they're $25, but honestly, I feel like the engineering difference is pretty significant between these. The original Warrior class figures were pretty notorious for not having a lot of engineering and cutting a lot of corners. As we can see, the backpack is pretty large. Now granted, she is supposed to have door wings, but these are a little large. And this flap just kind of sits back there and doesn't really tab in. So it's super easy to just knock that back, and it's like, oh, now she's got a skirt. Now, granted, with this one, she still has the door wings, and she still has a little bit of a backpack. And it still doesn't really tab in, but it's hinged up top. So it's not just going to fold down and be a skirt or anything. And actually, I do like the subtlety of the door wings, too. I think it looks kind of nice, where they're just kind of subtly off to the side back there. One thing I love about the original one is kind of the robustness of it, though. I really do love the big chonky legs. I've always loved that about STRONGARM, where it's like, yeah, she's a female Autobot, but she has like actual heft and like an actual physique you would expect more with a male Autobot. I always thought that was just such a cool design for her. You can kind of change the shoulders if you want, but it's more of like a transformation thing. But you do kind of have that option there, like if you want it more like this, but it's really supposed to be like this. It is nice, though. You can see, though, that's just kind of flopping. I do like this toy, but I was just so disappointed in the deco. Because zooming into the RID one, we can see her head is just nothing but blue. And as we can see with this one, there's supposed to be a lot of deco on her head. She's supposed to have this blue striping. She's supposed to have white. She's supposed to have a little bit of yellow. She's supposed to have these little vents. And this is just blue. They made no effort to try to add any white to this head whatsoever. And it really made it feel cheap. It made this toy feel really, really cheap. They really tried to skip on a lot of paint in this line, and it was really disappointing, especially for STRONGARM. Again, I do like this toy. However, it actually got a repaint into Ratchet, and I actually prefer the Ratchet toy over the STRONGARM toy. So that's something to keep in mind. If you want this toy, but don't want it as STRONGARM, there's a Ratchet repaint. This is a pretty interesting weapon as well. It's one of the few times Transformers has actually given us like a molded-in blast effect that they actually painted. For whatever reason, they dedicated some paint budget to this molded-in blast effect with this gun that looks like, as far as I know, nothing she used in the show. It's a gun. It's a gun, all right. Not really much of a fan of it. Never have been because of that weird little blast effect. So it's like she's always got to be shooting it. Otherwise, it just looks like she's shooting the ground or something. Again, though, I always have liked her legs. I always liked the little rivets in her legs. Just kind of gave her this armored look. The big old wheels back there. It's a nice looking figure overall. It's just lacking a lot of paint. It really, really is. I mean, it's not a bad toy. It's still pretty chunky and robust. Pretty much one of the main durability issues is the backpack. It's one of the only things I really have against it. One thing, too, some people might think that the fact that the front of the truck is kind of like on her forearms and kind of encompassing her arm is a bit of a problem. And I can see that. I can see that argument. But the hands are still usable, and it doesn't look as egregious as like Warrior Class Optimus's oven mitts, so I can kind of forgive it. Some people may be seeing this sticker and they may be wondering, what is that for? I'm sure a lot of you already know, but for those that don't, Robots in Disguise had a mobile app where you could scan each individual toy's symbol and you could load the toy into the game and have it as a playable character. Now, it wasn't just like, oh, here's Strong Arm, here's, Bumblebee. It's like, here's Warrior Strong Arm, here's One Step Strong Arm, it was all these different versions, and each version in the game was modeled after the toy. So some of them looked pretty goofy. As you can imagine, some of them looked pretty goofy, but it's still kind of a cute idea. I played the game for maybe a week and got bored with it. But yeah, that's pretty much this Warrior class. It does have pretty good articulation. The head's on a ball joint. I did already kind of go over the shoulders a little bit, where it's like on this hinge ball joint system, and the shoulders move up pretty far. I like that. It does also have this hinge right here for the transformation, and again, you can use that to manipulate the shoulders, but I wouldn't. It does have swivel and an elbow bend. I believe, yeah, it has a waist joint, so that's nice. Ball joints at the hips, thigh swivel, pretty nice knee bend, and the ankles can move down a little bit for transformation. So the articulation on this one's not bad. It's not a bad toy overall. It's just kind of odd. And I've always wanted something a little bit better for Strong Arm. And that's where Legacy Evolution steps in. I love this toy. I honestly do. I have not put it down since I got it. I love the head sculpt. This is such a great head sculpt. Let me move the shoulders a little bit so they're not blocking the lights as much. This head is gorgeous. I guess it's because I've been waiting 7-8 years for a Strong Arm with actual head deco. I'm just kind of happy to see it. I'm sure some people are seeing the nose sculpted in and are thinking, why does she have a nose? It's trying to kind of G1ify and make the design more generic, where it could kind of fit in with every generation's toy. And honestly, I think the nose works really well here. Seeing this, it's like, yeah, that's Strong Arm. That looks really great. And especially bringing in the old one again. This head sculpt's not bad, but it's so lacking in paint. It's insane how underpainted it is. It always bothered me, so seeing this new one with all this cool blue striping and everything, gorgeous. I love that little bit of yellow too at the edge. Whoever designed Strong Arm for the show made a really cool head design. Now, one kind of creative liberty this toy took, because it is based off the Elita 1 mold, is that it has these bigger shoulder pads. Now, Strong Arm always has the wheels on the shoulders. That's the character design. But they decided to add a part of the front of the bumper as these big shoulder pads, and I think it works so well for Strong Arm. I love it. It does kind of hinder some articulation, and it does kind of hinder some light hitting the head, but one great thing is that they're articulated, so you can kind of move them back if you need to, and they move out. So you can actually move these out a little bit to get the arms a little bit further out. They do kind of collide with these arm panels because there is a little piece right there. But overall, you can still get her in some pretty good poses, even with these big old shoulder pads. It's not that bad. It really isn't. I think they implemented them pretty well. Her chest looks pretty cool. Again, has some nice blue striping in there. Has a little tiny Autobot symbol in the middle. I'm digging it. One thing I love is the subtlety of the color difference. It's she's got this sort of gunmetal color, and then she's got black kind of thrown in there with it. I really like that. Instead of it just being one color, it actually has some differentiation between the parts that aren't white armor. The arms look nice. Technically, to be show accurate, they should have the emergency lights, red on one arm, blue on the other, but I think it looks fine the way it is. One thing you can do, you can take this little tiny pea shooter of a gun she comes with, and she only comes with one gun, oddly enough. I guess the paint took up a lot of the budget, but I'm not complaining. You can plug it on the arm if you want, and that looks kind of cool. I kind of dig that. So the legs, they still have that nice blocky chunkiness to them. And look at that difference in the two-tone blue. I love two-tone blue, and that looks so cool. The front of the leg still kind of has that little rivety thing going, but it's not as uniform or, in my opinion, as kind of cool looking as the original designs. But I still really love the look of the legs on this one. She does share Elita 1's feet, but a lot of the other pieces, as far as I know, are actually new sculpts for Strong Arm. I could grab Elita 1 and do a comparison. You know what? Give me a second. I'll be right back. I want to see how new this Strong Arm is, because it feels pretty new to me. So it looks like the crotch and almost looks like almost from the waist down it's Alita 1. Almost. But I do know that this panel right here is new for Strong Arm. That panel is new for her, because on Alita, it's like a different shape. So I'm pretty sure from the waist down, they are the same, but I think from the waist up, they are entirely different. I'm pretty sure. I'm not seeing any shared parts. Maybe the hands? No, not even the hands, because Strong Arm has like little circles on them. That is impressive. That is really, really cool. I am loving that. That is so nice. How much newness. I was lost for words there, but it's surprising how new the Strong Arm is. I did actually grab another figure too because I mentioned him. So here is the old RID Strong Arm, and here is the version of the mold that I prefer, Ratchet. Ratchet still does have the door wings, which isn't necessarily accurate, but I just feel like this mold kind of works best for, our old grumpy doctor bot. I love the red and the white. I love the head sculpt on this one. I think they're both really cool, but if I could only have one of this toy, I would keep the Ratchet and probably not the Strong Arm. But I'll still keep Strong Arm around, She's cool. Alright, articulation for the new Legacy one. Head's on a ball joint. Already kind of went over the shoulder pads, but the shoulders are on universal joints. Swivels at the bicep. Nice elbow bend. Wrist swivel, which is nice. Waist swivel. Hips are on universals. Thigh swivel. Pretty nice knee bend, and she's got ankle tilts. So her articulation is really nice. I really do enjoy it. There is one more thing I want to do before I start transforming these. I did a video a while back on the big Transformers Adventure, like Electronic Optimus Prime, and he actually came with an accessory that goes really great with Strong Arm, and I gave it to my old Warrior, but I think my Legacy one deserves it more. The Decepticon Hunter. I kind of wish the Legacy one came with this. It's her weapon. It's what she used in the show, She always kind of had this Decepticon Hunter, crossbow-looking thing. And seeing her with it, this is the first time I actually have seen her with it. That looks cool. That looks really, really cool. That is Strong Arm's weapon. That's what it is. She usually, handled it two-handed, and it just looks so much cooler with that, honestly. I love that. I'm definitely, long-term, keeping her with this weapon, but who knows? This weapon's still kind of nice. I might end up keeping it, maybe on her leg as, an extra little sidearm, because she's, a officer type, after all. So, yeah, that's really, really cool. I really like that. Alrighty, let's set her back, and let us transform the Robots in Disguise one, because the transformation on this is actually kind of fun. It's very big and very blocky, and it's almost a shell former because of this big old piece back here, but it still does stuff. It still does stuff, and I respect that. So it's actually been a while since I have transformed this, so you might have to bear with me a little bit. I know the feet do a big old flip-me-do, and actually fill out the back of the truck, and that's pretty much it with the legs. I'm pretty sure it's pretty much all they do. I know the chest panel comes down, and then we're going to flip these up and kind of collapse the arms. And I don't think we need to do anything with the head because the arms are going to fill out the front there. And I think these big old arm panels kind of cover the head. I do appreciate that little tiny printed Autobot symbol there, though. I'm kind of surprised they did that given how it had the sticker. But I don't think the sticker is really going to be visible in the robot mode. So I think that's probably why they went ahead and were like, hey, let's go ahead and just print one. I remember, I think, aren't those pegs good for something? Oh, no, this peg is good for the weapon storage. That's what it is. We'll do that later. So I think we can rotate the waist. And we're almost done, because, again, it's pretty much just a shell at this point. We're going to take this big old piece, flip it down. That'll tab into the legs back there. And these big old shell parts will come on down, tab in a few different spots. And here we go. Here is the enormous and hollow and actually pretty nicely put together RID Strong Arm vehicle mode. Now you can see the colors are very blocky. It's like here's a block of blue, and here's the the hinge right there. There's no striping, but there is some blue paint on the door right there, so it's continuing the blue, but there's no striping. And I always loved that with Strong Arm's design. You can put the gun up top if you want, since it's firing off. I guess that kind of makes some sense. Or they did design it where you could just plug it down there and keep it stored, which I appreciate. But you can see, look at all this empty space under here. It's like she's in a coffin. Like, here, let's flip her chest up so we can just kind of get an idea. Like, she's just in a coffin. There's so much empty, hollow space. You can just see her hips just floating inside the shell. It worked for the time, and it still works, I suppose. Oop. But it just never was enough for me. As a fan of this character design and as of this character, that's sort of English, we're going to roll with it. This toy just didn't do enough for me. However, this one I'm very happy with. I love this toy. This is honestly one of the nicest painted Transformers I've seen in a long time. And I love me a good paint job. I really do. So I'm just going to start doing things. I've done this transformation a couple times, but I'm not a pro at it quite yet. One thing especially, the backpack is very compressed. And it's a little difficult to get this like fully uncompressed. Because there's like this panel back here that we need to flip out. And then the doors are kind of a little frustrating to get fully lined up, especially if you don't do it in the right order. But I think I'm good today. I think I'm kind of getting the hang of this transformation because I have been doing it quite a few times. Look at all this paint. Look at the two-tone blue. Look at the striping. This is going to look so cool. Once you see this compared to the RID, you're going to say, yeah, this is strong arm right here. Now, it still is a pretty decently sized, bulky truck. But the difference comes in, like, the fact that it's not a shell former anymore, and it actually has, like, a transformation, because it condenses a lot more properly, which means it's going to be a lot smaller. So I'm sure there's some people that are going to see that and think, oh, man, look at how much smaller modern figures are. Keep in mind, this is just nothing but hollowness. Keep that in mind, please, because I assure you, the new one is so much better. I still do love how the legs kind of condense for the Alita 1 mold. I just think that's so nicely done. And we're going to take the legs, plug those in, and then the last step is probably my least favorite. The feet, they don't really flip up. What is that? What is that? What is that? Ew. Something got in her foot. Can we get that out? I got it out. Thank you, John Bernthal, for the assistance. But basically, the feet don't, like, flip in. They just flip around. And they kind of form thrusters back there. That's pretty much what they do. Now, granted, you can use them as thrusters if you want this truck going very fast. You could also use them as, like, weird backlights, I suppose, but they're already kind of sculpted in, so I don't know. They just kind of look like weird thruster feet back there to me. But other than that, this truck mode is so cool to me. I love it. I absolutely love it. I love the the shaping around the side. I love the blue striping. I love the two-tone blue. I love the striping up top. I love the clear red and blue lights with the little gunmetal dividing it. And this is a separate piece if you want to unplug that. That is something you can do. Weapon storage. One thing I always forget. Tab that in back there. It kind of makes everything a little more condensed. Weapon storage, you can just tab it back here. This is actually advertised as the Evo Fusion gimmick. Literally just taking this gun and plugging it back here. It's pretty lame, but it's doable. One of the feet just came off. That's never happened before. It's just on a clip hinge. It's no big deal. So yeah, you can do that, I guess. But this is the kind of startling thing. The size is pretty different. But look at the difference in the paint. Look at all the silvers. Like, look at this. It's like silver trim and then black in the middle. That is gorgeous. And look at the striping on the side and the two-tone blues. Look at the clear reds right there. This feels so much more premium. Look at the black right there for those little bars, I suppose. I love this alt mode. This is seriously one of my favorite truck modes that I have in my entire collection. It's just so nicely done, and I love the shortness of it. And I love how it actually has a back window, too. So many trucks from Transformers just neglect the back window. Sometimes they don't even paint it. Case in point, this one. So, yeah, it's really cool. It's much smaller, but I would say they actually feel about the same weight-wise. This one obviously has a much bigger parts count. It's a lot more intricate, and in my opinion, it's a lot cooler. I love Legacy Evolution Strong Arm. It is one of my favorite deluxe releases of the year by far. And I still enjoy this old one, but it's definitely a toy. It's definitely a toy from 2015. People say Transformers quality isn't great nowadays. Keep in mind, this is what we got back then. You know, not the greatest, but still fun. Still fun. I love Transformers. One thing I just remembered to say during the cut where I was re-aiming the camera, I love Strong Arm's color scheme because it reminds me of Gundam Alex. That's just a random thought I had. Just blue and white with like a little bit of yellow at the head. Like, it just reminds me of Gundam Alex. I think that's a reason why I like it so much. But here we go. Here is our old versus new complete on the original RID 2015 Warrior Class Strong Arm compared to the new Legacy Evolution one. The Legacy Evolution one, go get it. If you like Strong Arm, if you like the Elita 1 mold, go get it. I love it. It's my favorite figure of the wave, for sure. Like, even over Bombshell. I think Strong Arm is probably my favorite. It's just such a fun toy to me. I just enjoy it. But the old one's still cool. If you want to go back and collect the old RID toys, you know, maybe pick it up. Maybe get the Takara version with an actual decent paint deco. I was about to say paint deco in job at the same time. There's going to be paint daub. I think that's what I was going to say. But anyways, they're both cool, but obviously one is a very budget-restrained toy, and the other one is actually pretty surprisingly, like, premium for the modern budgets we get. There's a lot of paint, and I'm sure if Repro Labels wants to give us a set for Strong Arm, it'll look even better somehow. I'm sure they'll add those little subtle colors here and there and just make it even better. But there we go, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Am I overly excited about the new one? Is it just, you know, me making up for the fact that I have not had a good Strong Arm toy since, you know, ever, pretty much? Like, I finally have one with an actual paint job on the head. Leave me alone. I'm happy, okay? Alrighty, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Special shout out to channel members, as always. Thank you all so much for the continued support. I genuinely appreciate it. Alrighty, have a great one, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.